Welcome to the Sally O'Neill podcast, where I get to be your clinical nutritionist for a quick snippet of time and take you through evidence-based topics and tools that will help you reach your goals faster and more sustainably than ever before. I take the nutritional science and convert it from lab to life so you can seamlessly apply the stuff that matters into your routine for an optimal life. Now, in theory, my mission is to empower you with the juicy bits of my nutrition degree and experience in clinical practice so you can become the scientist of your own body, build a beautiful relationship with food and exercise, and then hopefully fire me because you're utterly self-sufficient with it. Now, this work here is part of my educational role I use with all my clients on my coaching platform, Status 80/20. And if you resonate with any of the content today and you would like to work with a nutritionist one-on-one, I'll add all my links that you need in the show notes. Now, of course, if this podcast brings you any value, I would love your feedback with a 5-star rating if you haven't already left one. Just a sentence or two about what you enjoyed about it, because it really helps me create more of what you love and bring in more value to you and this community with better content. Now, my guest today, so excited, is Drew Harrisberg. Drew is a dynamic figure in health and wellness space, blending professional expertise with personal experience to inspire and educate. Drew is truly inspirational as an exercise physiologist, a sports scientist, and a diabetes educator. He has been thriving with type 1 diabetes since his diagnosis at age 22. He's the founder of Drew's Daily Dose, a platform dedicated to empowering individuals to take control of their health with a holistic approach. Drew's methodology centers around his 4 pillars, which are movement, nutrition, mindfulness, and daily living, aimed at fostering a balanced and fulfilling lifestyle. Now, I'm particularly interested in our chat today because Drew follows a plant-based lifestyle on top of that, which instantly pops the question of optimal protein for me. Yet he is the picture of health, as you will see. So today we will be covering, as usual, his day on a plate, but also how he manages his blood sugar levels and his protein intake, and any supplements that he uses to set him up for success, and so much more. I think you'll walk away from today with some really great tools and knowledge from this episode. We get pretty deep on nutritional conversations, so hopefully we don't lose you. Let's dive in. This episode of the Sally O'Neill podcast is brought proudly to you by Hyvita. Hyvita has a premium practitioner-grade supplement range I personally use and prescribe to my clients through my official practitioner portal here in Australia, which means that it's been vetted for efficacy too. As a clinical nutritionist, I'm incredibly selective about what I recommend. It can be the difference between me being successful in my job and not. And I really trust Hyvita thanks to its potency, its purity, and its clinical credibility. I love working with single dose herbs rather than using formulations because it means that I can get really granular on dosage for clients and I understand which supplement is specifically supporting them in the way that they need. And because they're not mixed with a potion of other things, it often means that they're more powerful too. Now, my own kitchen shelf is stocked with their saffron for mood and emotional balance, ashwagandha for reducing symptoms of stress, and ginkgo to support my concentration. But their range goes far beyond that, from immunity and sleep and to liver detoxification and digestive health, plus energy and focus. Hyvita has science-backed options to suit all of your wellness needs. They're made with really good therapeutic doses, minimal excipients, and they come in this eco glass packaging, which is so good without the microplastics, no unnecessary fluff going into your body, and you're not going to find them on supermarket shelves. They're now available exclusively online at hyvita.com.au. And of course, please always read the label and follow the directions for use. And if symptoms persist, please speak to your health professional. Drew, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have you on. First question I ask everyone, it's not what you had for breakfast that you anticipated, but when did you last have takeout and what did you have?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How do you define takeout?
Food from a joint that's not from within your house.
Okay, but like fast food?
Doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's a genre of takeout that's fast, that's nutritious. So it can be whatever you bought outside the home that was a prepared meal.
Okay, got you. Okay, because like conventional takeout, like McDonald's, KFC.
Yeah. What team are you on?
I would have been like 17 years old. I can't even remember the last time.
Same.
Yeah, can't remember it.
I just have no desire for it, hey. I've got literally, my taste buds are just like, I don't get it.
Zero desire, yeah.
So lucky though. I feel like we've weaned ourselves off it. I was a Happy Meal kid.
Oh yeah, same.
And
I've eaten plenty of McDonald's in my time, let me tell you. But from 17
This
onwards,
is not my first rodeo.
yes, 17 onwards, absolutely zero.
So what do you do now?
Okay, so the last thing I ate out, you familiar with Bondi restaurants?
Yeah, I live there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. So Switch, I got a big salad bowl from Switch.
Yum.
Fantastic.
Okay, what did you get?
I got the hot potato, I think it's called.
Oh,
it's
yum.
like a big sweet potato, tahini, and just heaps of greens,
Tahini's
nuts and
like
seeds.
crack. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and they do like a peanut brittle thing on the top. Guys,
The
if
only
you've
thing
not
is,
been...
the only I hope they're listening to this because I've got a little bit of something to say. No,
a bone to pick.
no plant-based protein on their menu. Bothers me a little.
I think you should do a collab with them because, and we just workshop your business. I think you should do a collab with them because they actually do bowls with influencers and people of status. So, and that's you. And they need that. But speaking to that, you obviously are plant-based. So I would love for you to pretend you're stepping into a nutritionist office and you're going to give me Drew's normal day on a plate. Because number one, you're absolutely shredded. And number two, you have a lot of muscle mass, I think, for somebody who, I shouldn't say this, for someone who's plant-based in the sense that it's really hard to get a significant amount of protein in, I think. And I've seen clients who really struggle with it as well. So if you could walk me through what you do to get the protein in, because I'm sure so many people would benefit from hearing how you go about it. And I guess whether you do it with more fake meats and stuff or not.
Interesting. There's a lot to unpack here.
Okay, I know. Juicy.
Okay, so I find it funny that people think it's hard to get enough protein on a plant-based diet because I actually eat probably 160 grams of protein a day, or maybe
That's
150.
Okay.
Now, I will say I do lean on products, not the like meat alternatives, but other products that are fortified with protein. So I think of it like sneaky protein. So for example, the bread I eat is protein fortified. It's got like pea protein isolate in it.
Smart.
The wraps I eat, the pasta I eat is legume-based pasta. Like you can get 45 grams of protein in a pasta that traditionally would be all carbohydrate, and it's like 5 to 10 grams of carbohydrate.
I love that you're doing this. This is what I do with my clients.
It's
I'm
just
like,
sneaky.
I use the Herman protein bread. Is
That's
that
the
what
one.
you use?
That's what I use.
Perfect.
I use that.
We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. I use the, is it called Eco's Organic, like legume pasta, or whatever the brand is.
Yum, yum.
So stuff like that.
Okay, smart.
My almond milk has pea protein as well. So per cup, it's like 15 grams of protein.
Is that the So Good one? Just for everyone who
Wow,
listens.
we
Again,
didn't
I know
plan this.
I'm writing this for people's programs all the time. I'm like, if you're going to have a coffee, use the high protein milk. Like, even, what else do I use as well? Even just trying to get sneaky stuff in. I mean, sure, you do this as well, but like the nutritional yeast, just like adding stuff like that.
Yep.
All the little sneaky ways you can try and get
does add
in.
up.
It adds up.
With that said, I still reckon I get over 100 grams of protein from strictly whole foods without sneaking it.
Amazing.
Easily. So if I take you through a day on my plate, like this time of year, so it's getting a bit colder. So I'll wake up and go to the gym first thing in the morning, and I'll have probably black coffee just before that. The thing where it gets tricky with me is I'm also type 1 diabetic. So insulin, coffee, blood glucose, there's a lot to sort of think about first thing in the morning. But I'll have some coffee with a little bit of insulin because coffee can increase my blood glucose level. Then I'll do my workout, and then maybe an hour or so, I'm not like rushing to get my first meal in. An hour or so later, I'll have, like today, literally, you know, my exact day was basically I had a bowl of porridge with chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, oats, cinnamon. I add the almond milk that we just
High
spoke
protein.
about. Yeah, so add that in. But then I put a scoop of protein powder in, right? So
Can I ask what brand you use? Are we allowed?
yeah, can I plug a brand that I'm about to start aligning with?
Yeah, of course, of course. Everybody wants to know. Do you know, every time I'll be like, add protein to your thing, and they're like, what brand though? Or creatine, what brand? I'm like, guys, creatine, it's literally like saying to me, what broccoli do I put in? It's like, as long as it's creatine mono, it's a single ingredient. Just be
And most brands use the same manufacturer.
right. It's
So they just like slap their label on, but it's pretty much the exact same
all coming
thing.
from the same factory.
Literally.
Happy days.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So I've just aligned with a brand called Fiber, PHYBA.
I have heard of it before. I have heard of it before.
So the founder is James Newbury. He's like an elite athlete CrossFitter. He's been for like, I want to say, probably longer than me, maybe 8+ years.
Are they Gold Coast based?
Yes.
Yes. I've seen them.
So I just reached out to James and I was like, listen, mate, I'm plant-based. I've known him for a while.
Yeah.
But I was looking for someone to align with because I get this question all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
when people
annoying
find
as
out
well.
I'm plant-based. No, I don't
It's
find
really
it annoying.
annoying.
I understand the question because when I first went plant-based, I was asking these same questions to Simon, my mate, Simon Hill.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, where do I get my protein? Help me out. What's a good brand? What should I use? Is there protein in plants? Like I had all these same questions.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I put a scoop of fiber. I used like the vanilla one today.
Yum.
So for breakfast, a big bowl of porridge with protein and creatine. I mean, there's 40 grams of protein already.
Can I ask, so this is a supplements question, which we can talk about a little bit later in detail, but do you look on protein powder for leucine or are you not fussed about that? Are you kind of just going with what tastes good? And
I used to have a fixation on leucine, trying to hit like a 2-gram threshold.
Yeah.
Less and less as I've, been moving through this plant-based journey, because, when you look at how much leucine I'm actually having over the course of a day, whether or not, and I think this is up for debate, I'd like to hear your opinion, whether or not you need to maximize it at every meal, hit that threshold to maximize muscle protein synthesis or not. I don't know. Like I feel like as long as I'm getting, and this is my mindset with my day of eating, each main meal, try to hit 30 to 40 grams of protein.
Perfect.
I do that 3 or 4 times a day. I'm for sure covering my bases of protein. I'm not going to be protein deficient. I will still be able to build muscle and perform and recover. If I want to really optimize, sure, I'll try to make sure, sometimes you'll need a scoop and a half of protein to hit the threshold of leucine if the brand hasn't optimized their formulation.
Sure.
So,
and you can also get it as an individual supplement as well, right? Like you can literally just get it as a mono. I have it in my cupboard and I've never used it.
I challenge anyone.
Is it really awful?
You will vomit. There's a good chance. There's a strong chance.
It's like I bought citrulline and I'm like, I cannot. It smells like feet and it tastes worse. It's like leucine. Sour.
Leucine. I think it was leucine, but it may be the worst tasting thing ever.
Can you give me a description before people try it?
Rotten feet, fish.
Oh, cool.
Corpse.
Licking a dead body kind of thing. Cute.
Terrible.
Okay, so we're not doing
I don't
that.
recommend that, yeah.
Okay.
I think you can get enough leucine from Whole Foods and your protein supplement. Nowadays, the formulations are incredible.
Yeah.
Right. So they mix pea and brown rice and pumpkin seed and watermelon, and all of a sudden you've just got this amino acid profile that's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing.
And some people have a problem with supplements. Some people don't want them.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You can still have a plant-based diet.
I was going to say, do you think it's pretty feasible if somebody came to you and said, "How are you doing it? But I want to follow what you do, but I want to do it
without any supplements and without fortified foods like the sneaky protein foods." It is possible, but you're going to run into a couple of hurdles. You're going to eat probably 90 grams of fiber a day. And if your digestive system isn't up for it,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So you're going to be gassy. You're going to be probably a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You're going to be eating a lot of beans and rice and tofu and tempeh.
And there's just the satiation of that, right, as well. You just be like, I'm forcing this down.
You'll be force feeding.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah. I used to do that in the beginning. I wasn't anti-supplementation, but I wanted to see if I could do it strictly whole food, and I could, but I was literally getting 95 grams of fiber a day.
Oh,
it was
my
massive.
digestion would be like, no thanks.
Yeah,
no thanks, ma'am.
So porridge, and then in summer I'll have a smoothie bowl. So similar idea. And then, on the porridge I'll throw some berries and some nuts or peanut butter, whatever. For lunch, it's always, I sort of build a bowl similar to Switch, like I was saying. So a base or a bed of leafy greens is the main part. So I've got starchy vegetables.
So we don't snack. So we've had coffee and then we do breakfast within an hour of training. Is that right? Or you're not fussed about the timing?
Could be 2 hours. Depends how busy I am.
That's rogue.
Right. But also depends on my blood glucose.
Okay, sure.
So if I'm going down fast,
yeah,
I'll have to eat something pretty soon after. Sometimes I go high and I'm like, I really want to eat, but my sugar's high. I can't eat yet.
Got it. Do you notice a difference between the intensity? I think I know the answer to this already, but I'll ask for the sake of the audience. The intensity of the training and your blood glucose and what happens there versus say if you're doing a moderate session versus a high intensity training sesh. What's the difference between the outcome with blood sugar?
Big differences. Very good question. So generally speaking, and this sort of makes sense for everyone who has type 1 diabetes, although there's some outliers, moderate and low intensity will drop your blood glucose pretty reliably. So if you're doing a long walk, a slow run, zone 2 kind of moderate stuff, especially those steady state cardio style workouts or walking, whatever, you're going to see a reduction. Then if you compare it to high intensity, say sprinting or very heavy weightlifting or gym resistance training, you can see an elevation in blood glucose. Then it also depends what time of day. So AM or morning versus evening, you'll see a different glucose response. Everyone's a little bit different, but there are themes that make sense physiologically. So when you're performing at high intensity, your liver is trying to promote glucose into the bloodstream to fuel you. And then, of course, at the same time, your muscles are soaking up glucose from the blood, but it depends on the rate of output from the liver and the rate of how much your muscles are taking. Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
So that is that sort of balance where you'll see differences.
So I've got a second question to that then. If you're doing if you're going to do a low intensity session, so say you're going for a big walk, would you have some sort of glucose like dates or honey or your bowl of oats or whatever low intensity workout, knowing that for you it normally drops blood glucose?
Yeah, if I know that I'm going to be doing, so this is how much planning you have to do with diabetes.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
So if I know that I'm going to be doing, say, go for a run or do a long walk or play golf or whatever it is, I have to figure out 3 hours before that when to eat my last meal because I don't want any insulin on board. So my last injection, usually insulin lasts in the bloodstream for about 3 to 4 hours. By about 4 hours, it's totally gone. I want to do that workout with little to no insulin on board because the more insulin that's on board, the more dangerous it is that I'm going to drop low.
Right.
So I have to time my last meal. So I want to go 3 hours before. Then if I do have insulin on board for whatever reason, let's say I couldn't time my meal properly, then I have to eat before I go to get my sugar higher than it should be so that I can create like a buffer.
Which is so interesting, right? Because you're almost having to plan like an athlete constantly.
Every day.
All the time of like, if I do X, Y, and Z, what's going to happen to my performance and my blood glucose all the time. But then on top of that, you've then got to, I guess you've got to try and work some level with hunger signals, I would hope.
Yes.
Or is it just kind of like, you know, I'm not hungry at breakfast, so what am I going to do right now? Like,
so this is one of the challenges. This is one of the challenges, right? So it can go both ways. Sometimes I'm very hungry, but my blood glucose is way too high to eat a meal. So then I go, I can't eat a meal right now because I'll just spike my sugar even higher. I have to give a correction dose. So wait for that insulin to kick in, bring my blood glucose back down towards range, then I can eat. So sometimes I'll have to inject. I'll go out for dinner, let's say. Or this happens at home sometimes, and I'm sitting with my partner. I have to wait 45 minutes sometimes after. So I give my injection, wait 45 minutes before I can actually eat the food's just sitting there.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah,
that's
it can be tricky.
So frustrating.
And then other times, you know, you're not hungry at all, but your sugar's low and you have to eat. I mean, it happens in the night. It can happen anytime.
So you might go out to a restaurant, for example, and be like, oh, I can't actually eat right now, guys. I'd plan to. I know we said dinner at 7, but actually I can't do this right now. Can we just order a bit later?
Talk. No, I'll just let everyone eat and I'll just, or maybe I'll skip the meal and I'll just sit and have a drink and, you know.
And I have a really stupid question. You can't have something that doesn't have glucose in it. So you couldn't have, for example, not that you would, but in somebody else's scenario that isn't plant-based, could they do meat without veggies and and it not impact blood glucose?
Correct.
But because you're plant-based, it becomes an extra layer of difficulty, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So, you know, I could order a steak and leafy greens, and I could eat with
avocado
everybody.
Without the
Just eliminate the carbohydrate off the plate.
Sure.
In saying that, I will probably see a delayed glucose spike. Let's say I ate a steak with no insulin.
Sure.
You'll probably see a little bit of a glucose spike later on, maybe like 3 hours later. Because the body
Which
will
would be
process
okay,
it.
though, in that scenario, right? Because yours naturally would have come down in that time period.
Right.
It takes a 3-hour, life.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, like, let's say we went out for dinner and my blood glucose was too high and I really wanted to be social and eat with everyone at the table and I wasn't plant-based. I could order the steak and just eat with everyone immediately and I wouldn't see my blood glucose rise with the meal. However, 4 hours later when I get home, I'll then see it going up because especially if it's a massive dose of protein, your body converts it to glucose and it happens late.
Yeah.
So it's so tricky. It's like you're just doing, it's mental math all the time.
Which leads me on to, if you are going out for a meal, so obviously you're doing this, you switch salad, but let's say you're going out for an evening meal, because I think this is where a lot of my clients really struggle with just even choosing a healthy option. I feel like it's easy to do breakfast and brunch, particularly around Bondi. There's a million options and you can always make your own bowl. But let's say you're going out for dinner somewhere. What's your normal order if you're out and about?
I barely go out. It's so hard.
I just can't.
Well,
I don't eat.
Because I've got these two things that I have. I've got two labels: type 1 diabetes and plant-based.
Do you write that on? You know, when it's
options
like you're
no,
like,
you know what I do? I fast. I just skip meals.
Got it.
I just don't want the headache. I don't want to be a pain in the ass. So if I do go out for a meal, we'll try choose places that have good plant-based options. And usually, like Indian cuisines, you're always going to get a curry. You're always going to get beans and rice. Mexican's pretty easy.
Got it.
Anywhere that's like traditionally the food is very plant-heavy. Australian cuisines, you're kind of screwed. Not that that's a real thing, but you know what I mean. Like if you're going out to like a pub, you're getting steak and chips and like what. Yeah. If you're plant-based, it's very hard.
But I find, though, that if I was choosing Indian or Mexican, you've then got the layer of, not only are you plant-based, so you've got to think about that, and then you've also got to think about, okay, the diabetes, but also then there's the layer of, but what's actually nutritious on the menu? That's a consideration for me, just because it's always with me, just like you never eat takeout, right?
Yeah.
So there's a level of, is this also going to serve my body?
Yeah.
And that's a whole other layer of, well, actually, if I'm just ordering Indian... and it's probably low protein, and it's a really thick, heavy sauce, and it's just...
Right, I don't know what's in the sauce.
And then it's rice.
There's sugar in the sauce.
That's not going to work.
What oils are they using?
Right.
You know what I do?
It's just a minefield.
Let go.
Yeah.
I just accept that it's not going to be the healthiest meal, and then I'm going to have a roller coaster of blood glucose for probably 12 hours after, sometimes 24.
Wow.
After, if I eat out and I really kind of go for it, I can have 24 hours of pretty bad blood glucose control, just from one meal.
So you either decide, I'm going to buckle up and head in for the ride, or I'm fasting and I'm just going to be hungry and everybody else enjoy this.
Either extremes. It's very hard to find that middle zone. So I just kind of let go and just surrender.
It's amazing that you have a good it sounds like you've got a good relationship with food, but it's amazing that you...
Took me a long time.
I was going to say that you've got that because it is so regimented in a way and scientific, but it's been forced upon you.
Yeah.
And then, like I was saying, it almost detaches you from hunger signals where you might be hungry but you can't eat, and then you might not be hungry and you need to eat.
Yeah.
It's like...
It took me so long. Like, the first thing I learned was if you're trying to be perfect with diabetes, just stop. It's not going to happen. You'll never, ever be perfect. And I was very much not only like a perfectionist, but so health conscious and obsessed with my health. Definitely went down an orthorexic route for a little bit, especially after diabetes. There.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so easy, it's slippery slope.
Yeah.
Especially with diabetes, because it's like a numbers game. Everything's objective. I've got a CGM. I can see my glucose. I've got insulin, all this data. And then I got to the point where I wasn't seeing my plate as food. I was seeing numbers. I was just seeing grams of carbohydrate, grams of protein, grams of fat, grams of fiber, insulin dose, current blood glucose, where do I want to be? It was just maths.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I would love to know the data around people who have become experts in health, like you and I, what the data is around who has actually had something like orthorexia or has had a bad relationship with food, who's like turned it around or has had some sort of health issue. Because I feel like it often is the trigger for then wanting to help other people not go through the same experience.
Oh, for sure.
And like, would you be a diabetes educator without having diabetes?
Absolutely
It probably
not.
wouldn't have gone down that route.
I wouldn't even know what diabetes is.
Right.
Yeah. Until you're living with it or very close to a condition, you've got no idea about it at all. And that's what bothers me about this TikTok culture, this day and age. Like, you got all these like 15-year-old TikTok experts about topics that they literally have no idea about.
No idea. And yet they can come across like they've got authority in the space because they have a big following. And you're just like, that doesn't equal knowledge, nor does it equal application to the wider population.
Right.
I think people have tried something on for themselves and they're like, hey guys, this worked. I have the magic pill.
Yeah.
You should try it too. I actually, I had a lady message me this morning. I had a bit of a moment. I had to like center myself, where she is microdosing a GLP-1, so a fat loss, weight loss, off label, doesn't need it. Microdosing it because she thinks it helps her with food noise.
Oh wow, that's slippery.
And why don't I do it? You should try it, babe. It's like, I actually almost ended the friendship, which sounds so extreme, but it's like, number one, you don't say that to someone who has had the history of an eating disorder with orthorexia.
Right.
Like, not a smart move. No. Number two, because something's worked for you, you don't know contraindications for me. Like, you've got no idea.
Or even herself.
Right? I think that's the problem. There is so many grey market things out there that people, like even on TikTok, if you do microdosing peptides or GLP-1s or whatever, the amount of information out there is scary. Yeah. And people sharing their stack. And
I've never heard of this. This is news to me.
It's scary. Wow. I got told about a new GLP-1 that's all over TikTok at the moment that's not been passed by the FDA. It's not out until the end of this year. And people's dosing regimens and like how much weight they're losing. It's like, where are you getting it from? And then people are all like, where are you getting it from? And then they all go underneath, like all the comments underneath are like, DM me. Because they've got a
black
supply.
Market. It's so dark.
But it's so accessible. It's really concerning.
But the people who are spreading, like your point about finding something that works for you and then like raving about it, you have to pause and think, it's very complex, but I did the same thing. I'll put my hand up. I did this. So I went keto early on.
Yeah.
So I got diabetes. I was on a paleo diet, which I think was actually, I still think is a very healthy sort of base diet. Yeah, it's very much whole foods. It's limiting processed foods, basically none. And it's like not super low carb, but it is in the lower carb range.
Yeah.
And then I tried a keto diet. And that was obviously quite an extreme version of like a low carb diet.
Sure. So sub 50 grams of carbs a day.
Like probably 30 grams of carbs a day. And most of them like sort of net carbs, like coming from, broccoli, like green.
Yeah.
You just,
the skin of a kiwi or whatever.
There's nothing that's like a starchy vegetable that's kind of making its way in.
Yeah.
And, short term, it seemed to be a really good solution for type 1 diabetes management. And I was raving about it. 2 months in, I was that person on TikTok going,
I found the answer.
It's this.
Do it.
They've lied to you. Don't listen to the American Diabetes Association. And then you realize that actually you're just grabbing onto something that's exciting because it's working in that moment.
Yeah.
And then down the track, I ran into all these problems.
Right.
But if you're raving about it week one, You need to sort of like look a little bit down the line.
But also, like as you were saying, you apply it to your body, and then there's time and space that need to happen. Like, how sustainable is this, and are there any long-term impacts, right? Which is what we don't know about the GLP-1s that are so prevalent.
Yeah.
But then also we need to think, well, you're one person, right? You're the scientist of your body, so you can gather data, you can try whatever you want on, and assess yourself and the data that you're collecting from yourself of like, how do I feel? Is this impactful? How's it impacting my glucose? And so on.
Yeah.
But the next person might try that, and based on their bio-individuality, are they able to adhere to it? Does it have the same impact? What is the outcome for them? Does it impact their glucose differently?
Right. Yeah, my anecdote is useless for a lot of people and maybe helpful for some as well. But it's really just my anecdote. That's my experience on the diet. I think that we got to be so careful with like, positive anecdotes, because you're going to share these stories because, like I said, it's exciting, it's working, but you're not thinking about all the people that it's not going to work for.
And I think that's why I love doing these downer plates, right? Because there's so many like people who come on in here with incredible physiques and all these like interesting stories about how they've come to the diet that's perfect for them, but they're so different from one another.
Right.
Like nobody comes in here and goes, "Oh, I eat chicken and veg 4 times a day," and this is and then there's a consistency across the board.
Right.
So many people have got a different approach. Like I've had a couple of plant-based, I've had people who are carnivore, and it all works for them because what we know is that a high quality diet in moderation against their output, right, is going to result in a fairly healthy body composition and feeling good and energized.
Right. I think there's 2 separate questions here. One is what is the diet that is going to help you achieve your optimal body composition or your goals? What is the diet that's going to support your long-term health? Is there a crossover? Sometimes, depending on what the diet is.
Right.
But also they could be on completely other ends of the spectrum.
True.
So you could have a diet that makes you look freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Actually,
the aesthetic diet,
right,
we'll call it that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I told you my day on a plate 7 years ago compared to now, completely different. Like you could not have more opposite diets, but I looked the same.
I was going to say, but does body composition change or no?
Well, I was still hitting my protein targets. I was getting 150 grams of protein a day, let's call it.
Yeah.
My carbohydrates were way down here in one diet, now they're way up here. And the fats obviously also have changed around. But overall, my calorie intake was not very dissimilar between the two. So I was maintaining the same weight. I was still doing the most important part of body composition, but in my opinion, is the resistance training.
Sure.
Like you can eat all the protein in the world. You're not just going to gain muscle.
Yeah. If only all the women knew that. Right. If only all the women.
You've got to do the work. You've got to get into the gym or move your body.
Overload people.
Right, exactly. So like, I think that I looked very, very similar on these 2 different diets, keto versus plant-based. But I would argue that my diabetes health and long-term health is way better now plant-based than it was keto. And especially if I think like 3 decades down the line, I'm confident that my diet today is the diet that's going to promote the best health for me in 20, 30, 40 years.
What would you say is the difference between those two? Because both, as you were saying, pretty unprocessed, both high protein. Would you argue that it's the fiber intake that's different? Is it the micronutrients that are significantly different? Like, what would you say is the key kind of differences that leads to one's more better for longevity and overall health?
I think the fiber is obviously tremendous. Like if you compare a carnivore diet to a plant, I mean, carnivore, there's no fiber.
Yeah.
So I would say the fiber is a big one, like the phytonutrients, polyphenols is big. When you're a carnivore, you're not eating fruit and vegetables and
yet I see so much online of like, it's anti-nutrients, it stops you absorbing vitamins and minerals. I'm like,
don't get me started. What are you trying to do to me?
No, I'm sorry. We'll be here all year.
No, you're right. It's
confusing for people is what it is.
It is confusing. Yeah. But again, like the people who are parroting that message, like let's be honest, no offense if anyone is listening now, it's just not a science-based approach. It really isn't. Like if you look, the science around longevity and the best diets for longevity, it's not that confusing. It's actually kind of simple if you just stick to, but it's not sexy, so no one wants to talk about it.
I know. It's hard to sell.
I sound boring even
it's
saying
so
it right
hard
now.
to sell because that's what I do with my like online programs, and my coaching is the same story, and it's not easy to sell because it's not a niche or it's not something that's super different from what they know. It's boring and sometimes it's hard to stick to because people don't want to hear that they have to eat loads of vegetables and have a good dose of protein.
Your fruits and veggies.
And they're like, I've tried that, I want the magic pill, give me something different.
So for me, the major differences are way more fiber.
Yeah.
The type of fats I'm eating. This is a huge one. I didn't know about this when I was first diagnosed. And, when I was eating a keto diet, I was eating a lot of saturated fat. I actually got my blood. I wish I took a photo. I might even have it. I can show you after. I got my bloods done yesterday.
Yeah.
I got my results yesterday. Done.
I get them done like every 8 weeks. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I have to do it like often for diabetes.
Of course you do, yeah.
But I got this version that you can view it in where it shows every blood test you've had you get that
next to
in
one
rows.
another. Amazing.
So I can see like the last 10 years of blood tests.
Amazing.
When I was keto, my cholesterol was, and there's going to be cholesterol denialists, but my cholesterol, my LDL was so high.
Yeah.
Like red flag, what is going on here? And it was so much saturated fat.
Interesting.
So fatty meats, coconut oil, just all of those sort of fats that I thought at the time, I was like, oh, there's no such thing as bad cholesterol. It's
Right.
like, all cholesterol's fine. And then I look at the transition to plant-based and it's like now it is so different. It's like, it's dropped more than half, basically.
Wow. In what period of time would have that come down?
Well, the drop was very quick.
Quick.
It was like, I want to say like a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got I'll show you after. I took a video
cool.
of it. So a lot of saturated fat was impairing my insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
So even though I was on a keto diet, my baseline insulin requirements started to go up over time. Really confusing. So now I'm eating a lot of unsaturated fats and my sensitivity to insulin is incredible. So now I can eat a lot of carbs. So
Got that. Okay.
Do
you think that would work to somebody who doesn't have diabetes? Is it the same impact?
Same,
Okay.
yeah. Unsaturated fats improve insulin sensitivity, independent of calorie intake.
Okay.
So
you can eat more
because
carbs.
you can if you promote the environment for insulin sensitivity, you can tolerate carbs better as well. So like if you're someone who has insulin resistance or prediabetes or any of these sort of like spectrum of glucose control issues, if you can improve your sensitivity by reducing the saturated fat and swapping it, you don't even have to, like I said, you can have isocaloric diets. You don't even have to remove your calorie intake too much. Because weight loss will also improve these markers, but independent of weight loss, independent of calories, the type of fat makes a difference. So that's another
I
big
remember listening to Simon Hill, our friend. He interestingly said that he'll try and eat his fat rather than pour it into a pan, or he would rather eat avocado than drizzle oil into a pan and then cook with it and get his fats that way, which I always thought was a really interesting perspective. And I kind of took it on for a little bit, and I think I still do it predominantly now, and I'll have a lot of my clients do it because I think it's so easy to overconsume just through what you think is a drizzle of olive oil, and it ends up being 400 calories in an instant, and you're like, wow, I didn't even know, and it hasn't improved my meal that much. Because if I gave you 400 calories of peanut butter, so much more enjoyable, right? And then you're getting fiber and whatnot that comes along with having a whole food as opposed to a pure liquid oil.
I definitely do the same thing. Like if you're a little heavy-handed on the olive oil, I mean, if you compare, let's say, 2 tablespoons of olive oil to what you could eat in strawberries, I know you're not comparing the same things, but the volume of food, yes,
massive
for those calories.
difference.
And if you're only using the oil to literally like lubricate a pan and you're not getting like the flavors from it or anything else, like what's the point in going crazy with it if you're just going to add all these calories in? I mean,
I would rather eat something that's fatty, that's delicious.
Especially if you like food and you have a big appetite, which Simon and myself
do.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's like
when you love good food,
right. Like you don't want to like blow your budget on keeping your pan from sticking.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's say you've had your lunch. Do you snack at all, or is it dependent on insulin?
Tricky. Yeah, a little tricky because anytime I snack, I will need some insulin, and I don't want to be injecting all day.
Right.
For other reasons. But if I do reach for a snack, I can do it without insulin if it's like dark chocolate and a handful of like walnuts.
Yum.
But if I want an apple or some sort of fruit, I'll have to give a little bit of insulin, which is fine. And I do eat fruits throughout the day.
Sure.
But sometimes I use movement to keep my blood glucose in range instead of using insulin. And I'm not saying like of course I give my insulin very safely, but sometimes I'll be like, you know what, my sugar's a little bit high right now.
I'll go for a walk.
I'll go for a walk.
Right.
And then when I'm walking, I can eat an apple and I don't have to inject insulin. So I kind of do both at the same time, a little bit of a hack.
Yeah, bit of balancing.
Yeah.
So let's say, I was also going to ask, do you ever do processed? Like if you were like, I really want a protein bar, would you do it? Oh, yeah. You still will every now and again?
Yeah, if I want a protein bar or something.
Okay.
Yeah, for convenience.
Yeah.
Like for example, today, so I had breakfast quite early. I can actually see, this is kind of a cool app that I use, but it tells me when my last insulin dose was, because I use this pen that automatically sends.
So good, thank you.
So like here, I can see at 9:42 was my last dose of insulin, right? So that was when I had breakfast. What's the time now? It's like 3 o'clock. So I haven't eaten since then.
Got it.
But like after this, instead of...
Are you starving?
No, I'm actually okay.
Okay. Yeah. I would be starving every 3 hours, otherwise I'm hungry.
No, I'm pretty good. But like, let's say I was hungry after this, I would eat a protein bar.
Got it. Okay.
Like something
convenience to tide you over.
Don't have to give a big, insulin injection, and it'll just get me through the next hour till I get home.
So you're not opposed to having processed foods?
I think that word is like it has a lot of negative. Yeah, it's got a lot of negative connotations for reasons that I think in some cases are fair and others totally unfair. Like a processed protein bar, which is like 120 calories and 25 grams of protein, is not equivalent to a Mars bar.
Agree.
Right? I think the macronutrients and the type of processing is quite important. So like I don't mind processed food if it helps me hit my protein targets and it's not coming with all these other things that I think are bad for you long term. So I think you've got to be careful how we use that word. What do you think about processed?
I think it's a spectrum. It's on a spectrum, right? So from whole foods right through to like jelly beans, which we'll come on to.
Right.
I think, and then everything in between. I don't think it's either processed or it's not, because you could argue that canned beans are processed, right? And are they bad for you? Well, not really. We know that they're excellent for your health.
Right.
So there's that aspect of things, and then it's like, well, if then the choice is between a chocolate bar and a protein bar, of course we want you to go for the protein bar because it's going to help you stay fuller for longer.
Exactly.
But yes, in addition to the protein, we're also getting maybe some sugar alcohols that are not great for digestion. We're getting some flavors. We're getting some, preservatives and whatnot. And yes, of course, it's a very processed bar. So do I condone it all the time? No.
Right.
20% of the time, no issue.
Yeah, that's how I feel. In the context of a whole food diet, like if you look at my day on a plate, it's 98% whole foods. Right, a protein bar here or there.
You're doing better than most, because I always say 80-20. Like that's my approach.
I'm very, very, very close to fully whole food plant based. Wow. Other than protein powder, which is processed, but again, it has a utility, very important one to hit those targets. I'm trying to hit 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight.
Yeah.
And to do that with whole foods, as we said earlier, is pretty tricky.
Can I ask why 1.6? Because there's like a big argument for 1.8 to 2.2.
I just think that from the evidence I've seen, that anabolic ceiling seems... I agree that if you go to 1.8 or 2, you might squeeze a little bit out of the sponge, but we're talking a drop of water. Yeah. I think like most of the sponge is dried up by that 1.6 ceiling. And I've just looked at some of the studies and, above 1.6, it seems like just an unnecessary amount of intake for a very, very little return, if any.
Gotcha.
You're getting
and then
most
you're
of the bang.
balancing plant-based as well. So it's like the convenience part of it. It's like, I don't need to keep pushing more into this diet.
Exactly. Yeah. And there was a study, it was a 2021 study. I think it was a Stuart Phillips. It was a really great study comparing a high protein plant-based diet, strictly plant-based diet, to an omnivorous diet, and both supplemented with a protein powder. So the omnivores had whey protein, plant-based to soy protein. 12 weeks of resistance training, no difference in muscle and strength. So it's like if both groups can achieve really good performance outcomes and health outcomes with 1.6 with supplementation,
and that brings in, and we won't go into it now because we could be here for a lifetime, but the amino acids debate as well of like, are plants whole amino acids? Like, are we getting the whole amino acids and is it going to help, build appropriate muscle mass and so on and so forth? Because so many people say to me, oh, should I be taking BCAAs before the gym?
Oh, really? Interesting.
And I think
what do you say to that?
There's a massive market for it. I've looked into the science and I'm more than happy to be corrected because I feel like there's so many times I've looked in, when people say I've looked into the science and then there's like, but there's also an equal amount that's contraindicating what your argument is, right? So like understanding confirmation bias, I personally think that they're pretty useless if you're eating well. Yeah. And like if you're going to eat throughout the day, protein sources, generally speaking, even with plants, we've seen that it's just, they've all got the appropriate amino acids. It's just like the ratio is correct. But if you can balance that through a whole foods diet and you eat enough protein throughout the day, 99 times out of 100, you're going to be fine. You don't need to supplement with amino acids.
Yeah, I fully agree. I also think that we have to be careful, and I need to be careful, making it sound too easy to hit your protein on a plant-based diet. You still do need to plan and prepare and understand the diversity of foods. Like the short story is, if you eat a diversity of plant foods, you'll get all of the essential amino acids you need. They're all in all the plants. There's no plant foods that have, 0 of one essential amino acid.
Which is weird, right? Because the whole food combining thing that everybody waffles on about, you've got to have your quinoa with this and like to get all the amino acids together.
Yeah, because some plants are lower in certain amino acids. They're not 0, they're just lower ratio.
Right.
So if you're only getting your protein from grains and you're not getting any from legumes, you'll have a deficiency in one of the amino acids. Right. So like if you only get your protein from legumes, you'll probably have a methionine deficiency because the grains have more methionine and legumes have more lysine. So it's like, as long as you're eating rice and beans, not in the same meal even, because your muscles can pull the amino acids. It's just over the day, think of diversity: whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds. Then you can go for your soy product like tofu, tempeh. You're going to get all the essential amino acids. It's really a non-issue.
So as long as it's a variety in the diet.
That is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I want to be careful to say, hey, it's so easy to get 150 grams of protein a day on a plant-based diet.
Because when you said that, I was like already shocked. I'm like, this is going to be good. This is going to be a good day in a plate. Because I think it's quite it's very uncommon for me to speak to a plant-based client and be like, you're without trying too hard and without supplementing all the time, you're managing to hit a decent amount of protein, even 1.6. I'd be guessing at best like 0.8. So I think you're doing a phenomenal job, but you're also using tools like high protein milk and protein powder and whatnot just to amp it up.
I think if I didn't use those tools, I'd probably get 1.2, maybe 1 to 1.2 from Whole Foods, and then the rest comes from those things.
Which is still great.
Still pretty solid.
You're still being smart about it.
I'm definitely not going to have a protein deficiency.
Yeah.
So like if 0.8 is sort of like
to keep you away from the brink of deficiency.
I don't know a single vegan or vegetarian, no matter how poorly planned their diet is, that is actually protein deficient.
Yeah.
Optimized versus, being deficient, two very different things. We can still optimize. So. I think we, aim for 1.2 to 1.6. Some people want to have even more. But I think when it comes to like bioavailability and, combining and essential amino acids and all that stuff, you don't have to focus on it if you're having diversity and variety.
Cool. I love that. Dinner. Talk us through what a normal dinner looks like for you.
Okay, so dinner, I tend to have a lower carb meal. And the only reason I do that, it's not because of I think carbs are bad or this or that. It's because when you have diabetes, if you go to sleep with a lot of insulin on board, or you have a meal that can influence your blood glucose a lot before you go to bed, it just makes overnight tricky.
Right.
It means that I might go low in the night and then I have to drink juice at 2 a.m.
Do you get like a signal? Does it wake you up to be like,
I have an alarm.
Okay.
Right? So the CGM will alert me when it's like trending low.
Got it.
So 2 nights ago it happened. And then like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm just drinking apple juice. Like I hate
Last
that.
thing you want to be putting in your mouth when you've just woken up.
Brush your teeth again. It's just horrible. And then I'm awake and then I can't fall asleep. It's not fun. So I just keep my last meal very simple, high protein, lower carb, not zero, but lower. Healthy fats. I enjoy fruit before bed, but I can't touch pizza or pasta before bed.
Right.
I mean, I don't even eat those pretty much ever. Like the traditional versions, I was saying I use the like legume based and all that.
Yeah.
Traditional versions of like high carb foods, it's not on the menu. Can't do it.
Which is great for your health as well, right? Realistically.
I think so. I think on the overall, I think I'm probably better off without it. I mean, it's delicious, and every now and then I would love it.
I was going to say, do you ever miss it? You're like, God, I would love a slice from society. I
went to society with a group of people, and my blood glucose was already high, and they were all eating pizza. And all I wanted to do was just tuck into it. I wanted the whole thing for myself, but I couldn't have any of it. So I had to have like the side dish. It's a real act of like willpower and discipline in those situations, because you just got to accept. I have type 1. My menu is a little different to other people, especially timing wise. Sure. And I'm okay to just sit there and, have my side dish. And, when I get home, I end up eating.
Yeah.
So I'll like go out for the social experience. And then when I get home, sometimes I'll just
That's
have to
what I
make
do
a
with
protein
alcohol
shake.
though, right? Like I'll go out, and because everybody drinks, I don't drink. And I'm very rarely. And I'll go out and I'm like, I'm here for the vibes. Right. I'm just here to experience it with people. I want to be out and about. I don't want to be locked away because I've got a certain dietary preference, right? That I don't want to drink. I still want to experience fun. But I feel like there's more pressure when you're sat in a restaurant to be like, I'm actually not eating, sorry. Because obviously somebody comes over to take your order and you're like, what are you having, sir? Yeah. And you're kind of like, oh, not today.
Yeah, it can be weird.
Yeah.
I've accepted it. But I also think like the people around me understand. And they don't like, I bet you your friends don't whether you're actually drinking or not.
No, they don't. And
as long as you're out there and having fun and contributing to the mission.
Absolutely. And I think they know they've always got a designated driver, so it's silver linings, right?
They're actually using it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I was getting invited out.
Yeah.
Take us back to when you were 22 when you were diagnosed, right?
22.
Can you tell me, I think I know some of the symptoms, but please educate me on what to look for if someone suspects, because I'm assuming it's different for type 1 versus type 2.
Yeah, it is a little bit different.
But symptoms that you kind of saw cropping up, because I think the one that I know is like really increased thirst.
Yes.
To the point where people might even wake up during the night and be like, I'm gasping, and you can't really quench it.
Unquenchable thirst, yeah.
Right.
Thirst is a big one. Urination, like frequent, especially overnight. So you're basically waking up to go to the toilet like 4, 5, 6 times a night, and you're so thirsty that you're drinking, which seem like two very obvious signs or symptoms to look for. But when you don't know what to look for, you just think it's normal, or you can't justify it, right? So you sort of like live with it until you figure out you have diabetes. Unexpected weight loss, and very quickly. So if someone just all of a sudden starts to just lose weight, they're thirsty, they're going to the toilet a lot, and they're exhausted and falling asleep and can't keep their eyes open, those are the top 4. Yeah. And when you know what to look for, it's so obvious. Like I could spot it in myself in photos looking back. I'm like, of course I had diabetes. Like, look at me. Yeah. I was like, I lost 14 kilos in like couple months.
Wow.
A few months. Yeah.
What's the trigger? Because as I understand it, type 1 is predominantly genetic.
Genetic and autoimmune, right?
Right.
So you have a predisposition genetically, and then there may be an environmental trigger that sets off the immune response.
Okay.
So then your immune system destroys your pancreas, and you can't produce insulin. So then you have to, take injections or go on a pump, and basically forever you're relying on exogenous insulin. Like your body doesn't produce any.
Yeah.
But in terms of the known triggers, it's a little tricky. There's some viruses that can certainly do it. Like a shift in the microbiome can do it.
Do you know what triggered yours? Your
I
fever
think
or anything like that?
I definitely had some viral something. And I also was in South America right before I was diagnosed. And I was in the Amazon doing like this trek and like living with like a tribe.
Fun.
Yeah, it was fun. But I got a terrible gastric like bug thing. And I'm pretty confident that did something to my immune system and just started it. There's other theories, like people have blamed gluten in creating like leaky gut, so to speak. And then you get this like molecular mimicry. It's A1 milk proteins being blamed. There's a lot of potential culprits. I'm not confident to point the finger at any of them just yet, but I think it's interesting to look at them. I'm not sure.
And it runs in your family?
Nah, no one. Well, I mean, genetically probably it is, like silent genes, but I'm the first one who's had type 1. But I think it's...
You.
Yeah, I know, I'm special. But I think it's also because, you can have this genetic predisposition, but if the environmental trigger doesn't set it off, it may never manifest.
Right.
So maybe if I didn't go to South America,
So we could be
I wouldn't...
walking around now.
Yeah, for sure.
Potential to.
I mean, isn't that life? Like we all have genes that predispose us to so many conditions. It's not your fate to get it.
Right.
It's a storm of variables. And the lucky people with type 1, the storm came together and,
Epigenetics is like such a fascinating topic. I feel like we were just talking about whether I'm going to do a PhD or not, and I feel like it could go there, or even like nutrigenomics as well.
Yeah.
But like, I want all the knowledge.
Fascinating. But I feel like the more you learn about that, you realize you don't know anything.
Well, we don't, because it's such a new science, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like 250 years old. We don't have enough
Right.
data on anything to make any conclusions.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's so confused, right? Because like we'll do some studies and we're like, oh, we've got all new information again now, and then all the scientists jump on a bandwagon, and it's like, oh, but that wasn't what you said last week.
Yes, that's what I think is one of the biggest problems with like social media today is that the excitement exceeds the science.
Absolutely,
like this
it does.
hype comes, it's like, oh, we've just figured out this new gene or this new pathway or this whatever it is. Everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. It's going to play out. It's going to take a long time. Yeah,
Give it some time, guys.
Don't all of a sudden create a business based around this one little thing that just popped up. Like
Absolutely.
the basics are going to work foundationally for most people for a very long time. And the
Yeah.
basics, you and I both know, it's not sexy, it's not fun. It's just
And sometimes it's actually like the most simple things are the hardest things for people to actually action.
right.
Like just drinking 2 liters of water a day. We all know we need to do it. It's free. It's available. Like I've got it sat in front of me. I've hardly had a sip.
Right.
Like it's constantly having to teach and train yourself
Right.
to like do the right thing by your body.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing this in exercise as well. Like, I don't know what your algorithm looks like, but mine is like, there's this science-based movement of like fitness influencers who are obsessed with every exercise being optimized, right?
Right.
Just like the dietary things, like optimizing your meals and da-da-da. These people are obsessed with like, you're doing the bicep curl completely wrong. You need the cable at 45 degrees, pulling on this angle, and like really, guys, if you just contract the muscle with some tension, you're gonna get hypertrophy. Like you don't need to have the angle perfect and this.
Yeah.
We're just, it's an era of content creation. People are looking for things to talk about that are
Absolutely.
different, new.
And controversial, right? Like
Controversial.
controversial creates conversation.
Yeah.
And then, it's like the dark comment strategy that people are employing as well. It's like people will post something and then have their own team comment like, I don't
Negative,
agree.
right.
So that everyone then jumps on and goes, no, I'm going to back him up or I'm going to support him. And it's actually a strategy that people have created for their own page. So that
I
looks,
didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's wild to
Now that
to
I
each
can
them.
kind of see it now.
Or they'll just pay somebody to like keep heckling them so that other people then jump in to save the creator.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but it's a strategy that's been employed for a purpose. It's like we live in a strange time. But I originally, like speaking to the exercise thing, I'm a big YouTuber girl as well, and I follow Jeff Nippard. I think he's like one of the guys. He's natural, but he's not plant-based. Is that right?
Yeah. Drug-free.
Yeah, but I know he does a lot about like, you should have your leg on this angle and try this movement in this particular way. And I love the science behind it. And I think he's incredible with backing up everything he says with research, which I really respect. 'Cause I think not enough people do that. But I do think sometimes too much information is overwhelming for people.
Totally.
And it's not realistic for people to go, I'm going to apply that to my real life.
Right.
I'm going to go with that piece of information about a pistol squat.
Right.
And I'm going to go to the gym at Fitness First tomorrow and like give it a bash.
Right.
And hope to not get injured.
Yeah. He is great. He references everything he says, which I also respect and I think is important. I just think that some of these like setups for these exercises, they take longer than the freaking set itself.
And it's hard enough to get people in the gym, as it is.
Is that not just another barrier? And then it also makes you feel like you're just never doing it well enough.
Never doing it.
It's
never good enough.
It's the same with food. It's like the expectation to get it perfect. It's getting in the way of just making good progress. Like you don't have to have the perfect diet and meal set up.
Which we have tried between us both, right? That's what orthorexia is,
Correct.
right? Is the seeking of the perfect diet.
And just obsessing about every aspect of health to the point where it is negative for your
unhealthy.
health. Right.
It becomes unhealthy.
That is the problem.
And it's so hard to distinguish that, right? Because you think I'm doing everything right that is beneficial for my health. So how could that possibly be unhealthy? I'm doing 20,000 steps a day. I'm doing this many runs. I'm exercising twice a day. And but actually your body's breaking down and it's desperate for rest. And your cortisol's now through the roof and your testosterone's low. And
literally what you just said there.
No sex drive. And
okay. What you just said there is exactly what I did to myself. So after I was diagnosed, I had this incredible moment where I realized how good exercise was for diabetes management. That's another story. We'll get into it another time. But it was just like this. It was the first time I ever saw the effect of a good workout on blood glucose, bringing my level back into range. So, and it happened on day one after being diagnosed. So it was
Which is like a tool, right? You're like, I've got the magic pill. This is phenomenal. Okay. I'm going to utilize this to the nth degree.
Right. And to me, that became the sledgehammer. So I then had this sledgehammer that I was using for everything. So any time my blood glucose would go up, got to smash it with a workout. Anytime I'd see a fluctuation, get moving. And I was so obsessed with moving and exercising my way into good blood glucose management. Testosterone, I mean, I looked at my results. Again, I'll show you after.
Yeah, I'd be
show
so
everyone.
interested.
But crashed my testosterone. Stress hormones were high. My blood glucose control was terrible. I was insulin resistant. I ran myself into the ground in the pursuit of trying to be healthy by using exercise irresponsibly.
You're kind of ticking one box, but then shooting yourself in flight the other,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And I feel there's a big pandemic at the moment, I think, of testosterone being pretty low and people like kind of breezing over it and not getting the bloods tested. I'm like, if I could get everyone to just go and get the bloods tested at least just once a year,
I know,
it would be phenomenal.
It was so easy to fix it too. Like I just,
really?
well, like mentally and psychologically, it was very difficult. But I'm saying like practically, the way my testosterone like tripled in the next couple months by literally just eating enough calories.
Was it calories or fats?
It was all of the above. So what happened was I was so scared of having high blood glucose levels because the long-term complications of diabetes are frightening that I didn't want to eat ever because I was like, every time I eat, my blood glucose goes out of range. And because I was a new diabetic, it was so hard to know how much insulin to give because you got to eye off your meal and go, okay, so for every unit of insulin, I can eat 15 grams of carbohydrate. So I'm looking at my plate thinking, okay, how many grams? And then, it was so tricky. And I was always, it's very hard.
It's like, if I bugger this up, what does this mean?
Well, if you undercalculate the insulin, you go high. And then when you're high, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go blind, kidney disease, all of these things. And then if you give too much insulin, you go low, and then you have to eat jelly beans to get it back. So I was like, you know what? Once I'm in range, I'm just going to not eat for like 7 hours so that I can make sure that my blood glucose is in range, which is a fucking unhealthy thing to do. Can I swear? I've been swearing.
Absolutely, please.
So then I would not eat enough, right?
Right.
And then I was low calorie, missing meals. Overtraining.
Yeah.
And then to get my testosterone back to normal, I had to surrender and go, you know what? Everything I'm doing, it's not working. It's terrible for my long-term health. Increase calories, increase the fats, just balance, just eat a balanced freaking diet.
So despite the fact that you managed to control the diabetes through the exercise, what negative symptoms did you see from under eating? And like, obviously the testosterone we know from bloods, but were you seeing anything physically? Like say you'd not got bloods taken, how would you know 100%. What was going on?
Okay, so my hair was falling out.
Yep,
like
mine did too.
It's pretty scary when I was 23 years old and I'm having like handfuls of hair falling out. Sex drive minus 1,000 when it used to be plus 1,000, like just scary changes where I'm like, this isn't me. This is not who I am.
Mood changes?
Yeah, mood. Yeah, I was depressed as well because I just had a lifelong diagnosis.
Of course.
So all of these things happening at once, it's hard to know exactly what caused what, but for sure I can see in my blood work that my lifestyle caused a massive, decrease in testosterone, high stress hormones, insulin requirements are going up. So each month, I'm like, I used to give X amount of insulin. Now I'm giving like X times 3, for insulin. Something's not right here.
Yeah.
You know, lost quite a bit of muscle, gained some like weird, I use the word weird, but it was like, for me, it was weird, fat in places that I'm like, hey, I've always been like really lean. Now all of a sudden I've got like body fat in places that I never had before.
Right.
Like my body composition changed, my mood, everything.
That's menopause, baby. That's what we get to look forward to.
Yeah, I had 22 years old, yeah.
I know. It's not, I mean, so I went through it at 27, obviously from a female version, and I experienced all the same symptoms. So like no libido, terrible mood, couldn't get out of bed for 3 months, hair falling out, just like constant thoughts of food. I think that's where people get a bit confused, is that in eating disorder versus low weight, it can be two different things. So like the disordered constant thought process, it's a mental health condition predominantly, right? So it's you can be of a healthy weight and have an eating disorder.
Yes.
Because the constant preoccupation with food impairs your living experience.
Right.
So, for example, someone who's got bulimia can be of a healthy weight, but behind the door, you know, obviously behind closed doors, it's a different story. So
what are the constant thoughts with food that you were having? Like
mine was constant planning of the healthiest diet. So orthorexia. So it wasn't for me, like, as you would know, anorexia is like the pursuit of thinness.
Right.
Whereas mine was the pursuit of the healthiest diet. And everything I read online, this was when I was unqualified, and what led me to a qualification was I followed everything that everybody said. So you should be plant-based, you should not eat meat, you should do this, but no, actually you should eat meat. And so like every day I'm like, actually, I just won't eat any of it. So I ended up taking everybody's advice and coming up with a diet that was essentially, I used to have like 2 boiled eggs and 5 spears of asparagus 3 times a day. And then I would train for 2 hours a day, like hardcore training. And so first thing to go for me, which you wouldn't have experienced, is loss of period. Right. And I was like, that's weird. I'm being the healthiest girl I can be. This doesn't make sense. Like I've never been healthier. I'm eating all the right things. Not actually clicking that I'm actually not meeting half the nutritional needs that I should be hitting. And then also completely horribly low energy availability. And I was also working off numbers. So you become so adept at looking at a plate and going, that's got 800 calories in, it's got this many carbs in it. And you can literally, like a computer in your brain, by eyeballing something.
Yeah, you lose the connection with food. Like you
Absolutely.
It literally just numbers on a plate.
Yeah.
And you stop enjoying what the amount of joy food can give you. You lose that.
Absolutely.
Quite sad.
You do.
You know, I still battle with that a little bit. You know, because every single meal is a calculation. Right. It has to be. I have no other option.
Yeah.
Because the amount of insulin I give, it has to meet the amount of carbohydrate and how much fat and protein. It's a combination. I need to know all 3 macros in every single meal to dose my insulin responsibly and get it right.
Yeah. And it's hard going from orthorexia into something like that, where you actually do, regardless of your emotional state with food, you have to be calculated. You're never getting away from that.
No.
So as someone with orthorexia who didn't have to calculate, it made sense for a therapist to say to me, we have to stop tracking stuff. We have to stop weighing stuff. We have to eat for enjoyment. But you haven't had that luxury. No. You've still had to be incredibly calculated and still have to look at stuff and go, does this meet my actual needs right now based on my current glucose? That'd be very difficult to maneuver. It
is so hard, and I did it alone. I kind of leaned on like expert help. But when you have diabetes, you don't know that eating disorders and these relationships with food are so prevalent, you know, so you don't know that you can talk to anyone about it or get advice. So you suffer in silence and you try to figure it out on your own.
Also in men, like I feel like there's a lot of conversation for women around relationships with food.
Right.
And it's partly what my coaching is based on, right? But I think for men, it's significantly more hidden from conversation and from support groups and whatnot about like, how am I actually like, because again, you could look at it and go, well, I'm just eating healthy. I'm just eating steak and vegetables. It's like, but if you're presented with a pizza and you have a freak out, but there's an issue there, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think I've ever spoken to any guy about their relationship with food. It's just not something.
Yet that's all we think about all day as women.
Well, especially like, especially if you like guys that I know have type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
I've never spoken to them about their relationship with food.
And it's interesting because I certainly now, having had experienced that type of eating disorder, I can now often see it in other people so much faster than I think if I'd not experienced it. Just like tiny little behaviours and reactions and things that you see. And I see it often in male fitness influencers. And it's so interesting because they're promoting a healthy lifestyle. But it's like, it's actually to people's detriment, I think, sometimes. Yeah. Because it's so extreme And it's not necessarily realistic for most people.
No.
But it's also promoting like a very extreme way of eating, you know? Like, yes, it's predominantly healthy, but then it's also not healthy to have to fast because there is nothing on a menu that you deem healthy enough.
Right. I don't think they're promoting a healthy lifestyle. I think they're promoting a physique.
That's very true.
They're
the aesthetic diet.
Right, the aesthetic diet, and they're masking it as a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it's actually, it's not sustainable and it's not healthy at all.
And that's the problem with our industry, right? As we were speaking about prior to coming online, is that your body is your billboard.
Yeah.
In this industry. And so we take people's advice who look a certain way over their expertise and their education. And I think it's so important. Yes, it's lovely to be inspired by people, but just check that they know the stuff.
Right.
Because like someone like you, obviously doing diabetes education, you have an incredible knowledge and understanding around it. But to then, like, I wouldn't go to someone who doesn't have any qualification or doesn't have any knowledge. Like, you've got obviously your qualifications as well in exercise science and whatnot.
Yeah.
It makes sense for me to trust your knowledge on that.
Yeah.
But then there's people who like have just experienced something and then they're sharing their knowledge.
Both though, it's hard because both are important. Like I actually listen to people's experiences because I had advice from people who were qualified around diabetes, but because they aren't living with it, there was a little bit of a gap between the black and white, what you know about it on paper, to the actual practical experience. And I think that both are important. And I've also seen people who have qualifications online who have terrible advice. Like you will find again, I'm not saying that this is the worst diet in the world, but like a registered like medical doctor who swears that a carnivore diet will fix every single ailment. It's like they are qualified as a medical doctor, but they also have this opinion about nutrition that is just, their fingers not on the pulse. Like if you look at the science, that just can't be true. You know,
and there's even like the extreme ones, like the medical medium, who we will argue is like not medical whatsoever, but pushing things like celery juice to fix all cancer and stuff like that. And you're just like, oh, but people are so like, not to their fault, but people just look at it and go, oh, he's an authority, and he's got medical in the title.
Yes.
I think it's just important for people to understand where the knowledge that they're absorbing, is there a genuine scientific basis for what they're saying, and does it apply to them as well?
But then you have to have scientific and nutritional literacy to even understand that. So like I could flash, or someone could flash a PubMed ID on a post or a claim they're making.
Absolutely.
Who's going to read that?
It's truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's going to read that article? And even if you do,
I've been called out a few times on social media actually, where I've like put a PMID and like one of the numbers is wrong, and they were like, "Hey, that's the wrong study." And I'm like, "Okay, Queen.
Yeah, well,
I love that you checked it. Yeah, I love that they checked it."
But let's say that person actually got to the right study and started to read it.
Yeah.
If you're not trained in science, it's very hard to read a study.
And also to be critical of the study as well, to know that, you know, actually they only studied 40 people and that's not anywhere near enough to come to any kind of conclusion. And like there's so many different things, like it's so much nuance, right? And that's why, coming back to our original conversation, there's no black and white, unfortunately, with nutrition. It's kind of like what works for your body. Try different things on, be smart about who you get your advice from, but like use your body. You are the scientist of your own body, and you need to advocate for your own health with practitioners as well.
It's a team approach, but also that self-experimentation. Like I learned some of my best lessons by making huge mistakes and experimenting on myself, right? Like I do encourage people to do this self-experimenting with a team, find someone who can help you and guide you, and be willing to make those mistakes because you're going to learn some great things from them. You know, like I was literally a different person 7 years ago. I was a low-carb keto diet advocate, and now I'm a high-carb plant-based. Yeah. And people think, oh, he's flip-flopped.
And it's okay to pivot, though.
No, it's good.
Yeah, I think it's good. I
think it's good to be able to say, actually, I've tried both. This worked for these reasons. This worked for these reasons. You know, short-term, that keto diet can manage blood glucose really well. But long-term, what's the trade-off? Am I trading off cardiometabolic health, my microbiome health? Like what is
enjoyment, perhaps?
Right, social enjoyment, all of these things. So, you know, it's fine. Make the mistakes. Sure. Just don't make a TikTok account and run a business based on the first diet that worked for you.
Please don't do that. And last question for you before you go. Your I hate when people say stack, it's gross, but in terms of supplements, without being a gym bro, do you take anything consistently that you rate, like in terms of like creatine? And obviously we know you do protein. Yeah,
creatine is like the only other main supplement that I use for performance and now for other reasons, which the science has but mainly, I'll be honest, it was for performance and body composition and training and all that sort of stuff. So protein, creatine, I take a multivitamin that has B12 because I'm plant-based. You just have to. Like you've got to take B12. But you could also have fortified foods. But I just want to make sure, and I'll show you my bloods after. I've been overdoing the B12.
Yeah, okay, you're
I'm
in trouble.
way too high now, so I want to ease off that a bit. That's why I think it's good to get your bloods done as well.
And what's your iron like?
It's actually been trending down over time. So that's something that I need to look at. And I'll put my hand up and admit that, there are things about the plant-based diet that are phenomenal, and there are things that, may have some
need more management.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm okay, to take an iron supplement if it's going to help me get into range. It doesn't mean the diet is all of a sudden terrible and useless and never worked. It just means that I can plug some of these leaks by using supplements. So I'll probably start taking a little high dose iron. I'm trying to think what other supplements. That's an electrolytes around my training. Right. So I take electrolytes.
We do. I think there's a big tendency to over-rely on supplements. I love supplements in where they're indicated. I'm a big fan of, I always say monotherapy. I want you to take a single supplement. I don't want you to take these pre-mixes of a million different things.
Proprietary blend of this and that. You don't even know what's in it.
We don't know what's in it. We don't know what's having any kind of impact on you and your body. If you start reacting to it, what are we reacting to? Yeah. It's too complicated. I want you to take a high dose single supplement for the purpose that it was intended, and let's check your baseline scores. So let's say it's for stress. Take pure ashwagandha, then in 6 weeks, what's your stress score now?
Right.
Is it still a 10 out of 10, or are we down at 3 out of 10?
Right.
Perfect.
We need objective ways to measure these things.
Absolutely.
Right. If you change everything at once and you've got it's all subjective, it becomes really tricky. It's messy.
And then there's placebo, and we just get so messy with all that.
Right.
But I'm not an advocate of people going, I'm on this, I've got this gut health powder. I'm just like, can we just be really clear about what's in there and what we're taking it for? Because often people will say to me, what do you think to this supplement? I'm like, what for though? What's the intended outcome that you're taking it for? Because it might be useful for that, but it also might be useful for 10 other things, and it's not going to solve your problem with what you think it's going to do.
I think I'm minimalist with my supplements for that exact reason. I know what each supplement, what the role of it is.
Yeah.
Protein, I'm just trying to hit my targets for obvious reasons we spoke about. Creatine, I've spoken about performance. Electrolyte, because I sweat a lot during these hot workouts. Everything has a piece. I don't just take...
It has a purpose. It's intentional. Yeah.
I've tried magnesium before bed and things, and I think it's good. Occasionally I'll try a different pre-workout and see, did I feel a bit of a buzz, or was it, did it have caffeine, did it not? But I'm pretty minimalistic with supplements.
I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. You've got a very clean diet. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. You're phenomenal. That was really, really helpful. I normally give people heaps of feedback and go, you're not eating enough protein, you're not doing this right, change your food timing. I've got no feedback for you.
Nothing at all?
A student. Apart from your iron, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
But other than that, you're obviously doing an incredible job. And in terms of where people can reach you, so you have just launched a podcast, which is phenomenal. So people can learn from you.
This will look very familiar when you see my podcast.
We happen to be sharing the same studio. But we can find more diabetes education on there. Is that right?
Yeah, the podcast is very diabetes specific. So if you don't have diabetes, I'm not sure you'll love it, but still I think will be interesting.
I like the knowledge, honestly.
I've interviewed some really incredible people, athletes, highest level Olympians with diabetes. So really cool podcast. I'm very biased. And then just on social media, so Instagram, Drew's Daily Dose, and then running these retreats for the diabetes and non-diabetes.
Yeah,
so
the retreats. That's so fun. So it's for diabetics and non-diabetics. The retreats.
The next one I'm doing is for diabetes. So you don't have to have diabetes. You could care for someone who does. You could be a parent of a kid, or a diabetic and their carer or their loved one. And then I have other retreats that are just not at all about diabetes, just open for everybody.
Okay, because I get a lot of clients come to me just with blood sugar regulation issues and insane cravings, and a lot of often it'll be PCOS because again impacts for insulin and whatnot. But I feel like there's so much to be learned from probably the extreme of diabetes, right? And how it really impacts insulin and blood sugar regulation. But can we take snippets from there for the everyday person who still struggles with blood sugar regulation and implement some of the really useful tools and techniques of, I'm just going to go for a walk to get my blood sugar down, that people don't have access to or they don't know about. So I still think, as you were saying, you've got this podcast, I still recommend that people listen to it. I think it'd be very valuable.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you said there is that's exactly why I think diabetes has been a window into the human body for me, to understand not just how people with diabetes operate, but the principles that work for everyone, like the walking and changing the fats, those kinds of things. So I think diabetes is the greatest teacher ever.
Yeah. You've taken I love that. Silver linings always out of a tricky situation. Well, thank you for sharing it with the world. And thank you to everyone for their interest in nutritional science. And we'll see you next episode.